Okay, fellas, welcome to AFROPUNK's Soundcheck. This is actually the first Soundcheck for 2021.
Dope.
So definitely welcome. How are you guys feeling?
Feeling good.
Feeling nice.
Really excited.
Yeah.
Very comfortable in these chairs and seats. Yeah.
Man, it's been a while since I've seen you guys. I think we just said when was it? 2019?
Yeah.
Was it 2019? Yeah, end of 2019.
End of 2019.
Yeah.
So how's everything been?
It's been dope. We've been working on obviously this new project we're going to be putting out over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we were living together for quite a long time, so we got into a state where we were just making music all the time, and then yeah, I think it was really a process of growth for us during that period, because then we really spent way more time than we had ever spent on improving the music, I think.
Yeah, and it's been also tough times since then, because 2020, there was nothing in 2020. The pandemic was just forget this year. There's no more year.
Yeah.
But as Chakina said, that gave us more time to refine the music and to get a proper sense of what we're trying to do going forward. So it was a time which was tough, but it was also a time of refinement and reflection.
Yeah. No, definitely. But let's just take it back a little bit because I mean I know your guys' story, how you guys met up, back in Cape Town. But I think some of the people would like to know how the hell did you guys come through? Because it's quite funny because. Most of the times you get crews that are either put together by label or pressure or whatever, but with you guys I think it's
by the TV show. Yes. Yeah. We are idols. We are former idols, contestants.
But I think with you guys that's mad different. What's your story? How did you guys get together as Stiff Pap, and what's the journey been like?
As you say, we met when we were still students at UCT. We were staying in the same res, and I think Ayema came across some of my music on SoundCloud, and he found it interesting, so he wanted to work with me because it's just based on the music he had heard. We didn't really know each other at that time, so I think he reached out to me in the dining hall where pretty much everyone eats at the res, and he saw me there and he just said, "Hey man, I heard one of your songs and I think I could do something with that beat,
Yeah.
And that was basically how we met. I wasn't really interested in working with him to that extent because I was just a producer. And if you've ever heard the kind of music that I make, you would never really expect a rapper to want to jump on those beats in the first place. So even from my perspective, I was like, I don't know about that, man, but we can hang out and stuff, and maybe we'll see what happens, and so we just started hanging out as friends, basically, just homies, and started going to parties. I was throwing parties at the time, and he would just come to those parties to support me. And then eventually we just figured out we have a lot in common, we listen to a lot of the same music.
Yeah.
We like going to the same kinds of events, we were into very similar things. And then eventually he was like, yo, but remember that song?
Remember that one.
How about we do something with that? And then eventually I was like, why not? And then we sat in my room, I pulled the beat out, and he literally told me how he wants it structured. And he knew exactly what he wanted to do, which impressed me a lot, because I was like, this guy's actually serious. He told me take that out, put that in. That part at the end is unnecessary. And then once I did that, he just started rapping on the spots, and that literally became our first song, Jala.
Yeah, man.
And that's still one of our most popular
big song, yeah.
A lot of people don't give this guy credit, but he's basically a producer too,
Word,
he doesn't make beats, but producing is more than just making beats,
it's intricacies, arranging songs, knowing timing and all that.
Yeah.
Knowing when to do stuff and when not to do stuff.
Yeah. No, that's dope. And then there's an interesting fact that a lot of people don't know about the Stiff Pap is that you guys are called Stockfell.
Yeah. We're gonna.
we had that name, Stockfell. We had What are the other names? We had a few, like,
Yeah.
because I think after we had made Jala, we were like, yo, we
need a
like,
name.
We have to, you know, because at the time it was either gonna be Jakinda featuring I Am a Problem or I Am a Problem featuring Jakinda, you know, because we both were making solo music, but then we're like, the thing is, we like working together so much, we might as well create a band where it's like one thing, you know. So we went through a couple names. Stockfell was one of them. What were the other ones, man? Like,
I don't even remember the other one.
like, I think Stockfell was one of the like, serious ones.
That was a serious contender. That was a very serious contender. It was either Stockfell or Stiff Pap, and then we were thinking like, something more organic was like Stiff Pap. More than Stockfell. Stockfell would be fire though, but...
I think Ayama just started saying names out loud, and then when he said Stiff Pap, I was like, wait, actually, that song's fire.
I literally had, I think, like 5 names, which I was thinking, because Jakinda was like, yeah, man, we need to get a name, and, you know, come up with a name, and I was thinking about, like, names, just write them down, and I came to your room, I was like, yo, man, what do you think about this name? What do you think about that name? What do you think about this name? And then Stiff Pap was a name that you just liked.
Like you settled on.
It clicked.
No, I mean, like, it's also, which is like very organic and very like authentic about to SA music. And I guess with like Stiff Pap, like when you make Stiff Pap, man, you're just like a melting pot of like dope ass shit like that comes out of it, you know. I guess like that's like what your music is, you know. Like there's this, you know, sort of, how can I say this sound that you guys have created, you know. A lot of people can say it's Kwaito, but I feel it's not just Kwaito. There's a lot of fusion. There's electro. There's Kwaito. There's hip hop. So what influences your sound? Basically, how can you define like the Stiff Pap sound?
We used to call it post Kwaito. You know, for the reasons that you named. Like we have a lot of influences from Kwaito, and we always felt like we were kind of creating this sort of new age, sort of progressive form of Kwaito. But then as we kind of progressed with our sounds, we were like, even that doesn't really fully encapsulate what we're really trying to do, you know. We're trying to like, we still obviously have that influence, but we're really trying to create our own sound. And I think Post Kwaito was just a label that we kind of used to distinguish ourselves away from other artists. You know. But yeah, I would say that our influences range from like hip hop, house music, folk music. Even now, if you hear the new music, like a lot of like traditional sounds. Even rock bands, like we went back and listened to like a lot of rock music, some punk music, and really tried to expand our palette, because I think we have eclectic taste. You know, we listen to a lot of different kinds of music, so we really wanted that to come through with our own music. So when people are listening to us, they can tell that like, oh, these guys actually have a wide-ranging taste. You know, they're not just into one certain sound.
And even like in terms of the entire post-Kwaito narrative, it was basically came across as we wanted to be a progression of Kwaito, not the sound of Kwaito, but the actual energy, you know, like the anti-establishment of Kwaito, like the entire culture of Kwaito, of like we trying to take what we feel is progressive music, and we're trying to get it into a South African standpoint, where we are able to like tell a South African narrative using like whichever and whatever music that we feel should be part of the story. May it be rock or punk influence, trap influence, Kwaito influence, but just the energy and the culture and the mindset is like Kwaito influenced, or like anti-establishment, or just like punk.
There's this one line that I really like by Kabelo where it says, "I'm not a Kwaito star, I'm a hustler." That's basically
you know, hustler
like,
music.
It's like hustler. It's like that's the feeling that I wanna evoke. That it's like our way, you know, we make this music that you can associate with Kwaito, but overall, I'm a hustler, man.
You know,
it's always like evolving. It's always trying to, you know, break boundaries as well. I think the first time I actually saw you guys perform was 2017 at the Battle of the Bands. It was a packed stadium, I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course you remember.
definitely.
Yeah.
It was a
Definitely.
mad day, but like I think one of the things for me that actually stood out was that like the energy that you guys are talking about, it literally like jumped out, and I was like, oh damn, who the hell are these guys? Like because for me, I think that was the first time being introduced to your music, and as a person who likes music, I listen to music a lot, but like as a person who gets to experience you live before hearing anything on record, it was just like, wow, this is fucking amazing. It makes you want to like listen. So from that point, what has been your journey? Because I feel like you guys were independent for like a while, and so what has been your journey like as independent artists, like your highlights and challenges so far until obviously your recent signing and partnership with Koch International?
So it's been hard. I mean, it was really hard to be independent because obviously you're funding everything yourselves, and we basically manage ourselves too. So we're basically making all our like creative decisions, all our like financial decisions, our management decisions. So that can be quite overwhelming when you don't have like a team of people helping you out.
Yeah.
But it was also like, it gave us a lot of freedom to really like do whatever we wanted to do. So in terms of the sound, we had nobody to tell us like what to do. We just kind of made our own decisions. When we were doing Battle of the Bands, we weren't living in Joburg yet. We were still living in Cape Town, but then ever since then we've moved to Joburg because in pursuit of our dreams, pretty much like every other like young hustler, you're moving to the city of gold, in pursuit of your dreams. And really, we just came here and we were thinking we were going to be welcomed with open arms,
hey.
we performed at AFROPUNK, people know us surely.
Yeah.
We got here, it was rough.
Yeah.
Joburg is a harsh city, it's not the friendliest. I mean, there's very friendly people, but like to an outsider, if you don't know people, like it can be really rough.
It can be rough, yeah, definitely.
But I think that made us stronger. It made us, because we came here to fight, basically. And that's basically the energy that we have when we're performing, as you say. Like, I know that with Battle of the Bands, it was literally like, man, as soon as we got past the first stage of the voting, I personally knew we were going to win even before we performed, because I knew that no matter what happens, we're going to leave everything on the stage. Like whenever we perform, we fight for everything that we have, man. And I think that that's the energy that Joburg has kind of encouraged in us, that like you'll walk in the streets and someone will literally want to mug you, and it's like, it forces you that like, I'm gonna fight.
Can't.
Like, no,
like,
I have to fight. I'm not gonna be taken for a punk,
Yeah.
And it's like that, Joburg is for that. Like, if you're not strong, it can eat you up.
Yeah,
definitely.
And even like you were saying, like after AFROPUNK, that was the end of 2017, start of 2018.
Yeah.
Performed there. We did Red Bull Music Festival. We did Opi Kopi. We were doing after
We started doing festivals.
we started doing festivals. After that, like I think like it just like lifted the belief in like promoters to like invest in us or wanna book us.
Definitely.
So shout out to that, because we did so many festivals. And during the festivals, like people were treating us better, and like it was
People took us
nice.
seriously.
Like even like publications started like treating us seriously. We've done so many like different like and big publications just based off the fact that
Magazine covers.
magazines covers.
That cover you guys did with the leg.
With the leg, bro.
Should have brought that for you guys to sign.
Yo, like I remember that time. We were in Cape Town. We were in Cape Town chilling with some other people.
We're chicken lickers.
Chicken lickers. And a kid literally came up to us
With the magazine.
with the magazine.
We in the line of chicken lick, and this kid comes with the magazine, and
he's
he
like-
asked us to sign it.
I didn't even know how to sign. I think I signed it terribly, and I was like, "What am I doing? How is this done?"
Yeah.
But
Crazy.
That was one of the times where I thought, like,
Yo.
we actually doing something that's resonating with people. People
Yeah.
actually see value in what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's always what we wanted to do. You know, we wanted to show that, like, we want to inspire kids that you don't have to go the sort of traditional route where you're making a certain kind of music that people are already familiar with. You can do something that's more personal to you.
Yeah.
And I think, over time we just kept on digging deeper into that. Like, how can we make this more personalized until it doesn't sound like anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's how we got to the point now where it's like, as you say, when you see us perform, it's like mind-blowing. We want it to be mind-blowing every time because you know, you've got to remember us.
Yeah. But also shout out, like, as we're trying to say, shout out Koch, because even Koch, like, I wouldn't, for me, we are signed, but I would feel like it's more for partnership, you know?
Yeah.
Because whatever like ideas we have, we bring to the table, we speak them out, we sift them out, and then we come up with the best idea possible. You know, it's not like just like a label telling you, yo, do this. No, we kind of, they give us the entire like creative freedom, and then they just help to guide us, and they put us in like in the right spaces for our things to like have impact and resonate. That's really, really dope.
That's cool. So, you guys, there's this synergy, obviously, that you just spoke about, that you guys have with Koch International. How did that come about? Because they are a UK-based label, and I know like they've worked, or they got some of the guys like Sriracha, for example. Is that how you say Sriracha?
Sriracha.
Yeah, it was like dope. So how did it happen that you guys get into their radar, and how did the working relationship with Koch International manifest?
So we've actually known the head of the label, Joe, for quite a while, for a few years before we even worked with Koch, and I think he was always interested in us. Like, from the first time he actually came across us was when he was in South Africa. I don't know what he was here for, but he was here and he knew a few people that we knew, and our friends, like, we had a performance here in Joburg.
Yeah.
Like at somewhere in Bram. I think it was a Testament
Bar.
Yeah.
Was it still open?
Yeah.
Back when
Yeah.
it was open.
And then basically, like, our friend said, like, yo, there's this friend of ours from the UK.
Yeah.
He's gonna come watch you guys perform. We've told him to come watch you guys. Can you guys like help him come in? And we're like, whatever. Like, sure thing. We'll make sure he gets in. But we're like, we don't know this guy. We don't know what he's coming for. But we'll make sure that he's okay. And then he came through. We didn't even meet him that night, to be honest. I don't remember meeting him that night. But apparently he saw us perform, and he loved everything. Like, he loved the music. He thought that the performance was amazing, even though like it wasn't even that great a show. Like, the sound was bad.
Trash show.
Like, we were fighting with the guys around Testament. We've had fights with those guys. But shout out to Bruce, they're the homies.
They're the homies now.
Like, we were getting angry. Like, we were like, no, the sound is wrong.
The sound was terrible.
Because we take our things very seriously. If things aren't going well, we're like, no, man. Like, But apparently to him, he was like, wow, this is so like raw and so amazing, And then we later found out that he worked for Boiler Room at the time, and then he hit us up and he was like, yo, I saw you guys perform. I want you guys to perform at Boiler Room. So this was way before he even like spoke to us about Koch or anything. Like, he just was working there and he wanted us to perform at Boiler Room, and we're like, oh yeah, we could definitely do that. I think we ended up performing at Boiler Room 2 years after that even. It was still a long time. He just started the conversation. And then we performed at Boiler Room in 2019. And he met us then in person. That was the first time he met us in person. And he, even before the performance, he was like, man, I want to just have lunch with you guys or something, have a drink just so we can chat. And then he spoke to us and he was like, man, he really likes what we do, and he's really interested in working with us in some way, like beyond Boiler Room and stuff. And he already had his label. We were aware of the label because one of their first releases was an album by Jumping Backslash, who's a South African-based artist, and he's a friend of ours. So and it was a good album. Like, we really liked that album, and so we were already aware of the label, but we didn't know him as a person, Joe. Also because he's based in the UK. So it was our first time really just seeing him and speaking to him and seeing what kind of person he is. And basically we said, yeah, man, we're interested in speaking about this more, but we weren't really committing to anything yet. And then that was another like maybe 2-year process. We only ended up like really like speaking about putting out a project with them last year during the pandemic. And then he was like, yo guys, remember that conversation we had when I was in South Africa? I'm still interested in, you know, putting out some of your music through my label. And we're like, okay, we used to being independent, you know, we've never worked with a label, and we've spoken to labels before, but we always wanted to like have that sense of independence still, you know, and have that creative control. So we basically came to him with that partnership energy, as Ahima said, that like, we're gonna work with you, but you know, these are our kind of boundaries, you know, to work with a label. And he was very open to that, and shout out to them, man. It's been a great relationship.
And I guess like that's the very like advantageous, you know, part of working with like a small indie labels, because they understand that, okay, cool, these are guys that have been doing their own thing, and obviously to get into someone's radar, it means that you guys have been doing something right. So it's just a matter of like, okay, cool, let's just amplify what you guys have been doing, rather than say, okay, cool, let's just change it, whatever, like your entire look, you know. And that is like really like cool. So within the label itself, have you guys worked with any of the other guys?
Yeah, we have. Like, we've been working with Jumping Backslash, which is like our mixing engineer.
He's also mastered a
couple of tracks. We've been working with him since Eland. What's our, wow, I forgot our last EP. I forgot our last EP. Stiff Pap Radio. Our last EP, Stiff Pap Radio.
He mixed most of that.
He mixed most of that, and he's mixed like most of the stuff that's on Tuff Times. All of the stuff that's on Tuff Times.
On Tuff Times he mixed.
He's mixed it. Like even
he's done a remix of Nkokotelo.
So yeah, we've been working with JBS a lot. We haven't gotten a chance to work with Sriracha and Unandela Land.
Unandela. Great, like
you know, in the future, you never know.
He's always showing love, though. Like every time we release anything, he's always like sharing and also sending us a message to say congrats. So I think that it feels good. It feels like we're part of a family, you know, like we're part of a community, because they're also looking out for us as the fellow artists, you know. I think we all like want, as a team, want to win, because Koch is also like a young label, so they also got that hunger as an it's like we're up and coming artists, they're an up and coming label, so it's like we all trying to let's do this as a team, you know, let's do this.
We're all trying to put the team on. It's like we're playing Gumbela and we're trying to get to the PSL. You know.
I got you. Speaking of Nkokotelo, I just want to know exactly, because I know you guys were supposed to give that song to some DJ.
Say the guy's name.
We can't say. Let's not say the guy's name. But it's a popular DJ.
There's also we're trying to give it to this DJ. I don't know, what did he say?
This DJ was like, yo, I love the song. Like, I love the song, because like, back in my Facebook days when I used to be big on Facebook, before I lost my account.
Phillips.
Hey, I'm on Phillips. Before I lost my account, this guy hit me up like, yo, let's work. And I think we're working on Stiff Pap Radio. Actually, no, we've just worked on based on a ghost story, and we had Nkokotelo, but it just had one verse. And I was like, yo, man, second verse, we should get somebody big. And I was like, this guy always features like big features, like on his, because he's that type of DJ who has connects to the industry people. Gave it to him. He gave it to like at least like 3 huge like hip hop guys, and all of them were like, "This is weird. Not this song. What is this?"
I even ended up sending it to another bro who's like a manager of really big artists. You know what I'm talking about.
Let's say no names. Let's say no names.
But like, but there's this, he manages like really some of the biggest artists right now. And I sent it to him in the DMs, because he was always, that's the thing, some people are weird in Joburg. People will meet you, let's say a great day, and they'll be like, oh man, I love what you do. Yeah, you know, I want to work with you guys. And then so I was like, okay, this guy said he wants to work with us. Let me tell him like, yo, we've got this song. I know you work with really big artists, and I think it's the light switch. Should I carry on speaking?
Carry on now.
we've got this song, and we know you work with really big artists, and we're not really trying to put this song out as one of our own songs. So, because we're trying to move away from that sound. So we're like, we don't mind giving this song to one of those artists that you work with.
Yeah.
This guy, he listens to the song, he's like, great song.
That's
Nothing
the
else. That's all he says. Great song. That's it. We're like,
Great song.
Sharp. Okay, nobody's interested in this song.
Yeah.
Then we were like, man, actually, we could do with a song like this on our project, because we like having something like, upbeat for our projects, because a lot of our music is quite dark, but then we also like to have this sort of like silver lining in our music also, that like, even though times are hard, we still kind of have hope that things will get better. That South African thing, you're in the new South Africa, like,
A life with possibility.
So we're like, actually, this song is very positive, and it's like it tells a story of what we really are about. Like, you're making something out of nothing. You're taking whatever you have and you're trying to create something, and that's the Stiff Pap sound also. Taking all these different elements from the things that you've heard growing up, the things that you've learned, and you kind of like making something out of that. You're creating a career. That's what being an artist is. Just something that's in your head, bringing it into real life. So we're like, that actually embodies who we are and what we're trying to be. So. Yeah. It makes sense that it should be our song,
I mean, for me, I love that song, man. Like, it's really dope. And I think also, some things happen, and it's like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So you never know what could have happened should they have taken that song. It couldn't have been like the classic that it is, right? Like today, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They could have, like, I don't know.
You don't know what they would have done with it.
You never know, but at least it's something that I feel like you guys took, and then you, like, as you just said, like, you owned, and you were like, you know what, let's make it our own, and embody that, like, spirit, which is like really dope.
Yeah. Also, like, shout out my brother, because I remember we were listening to a lot of songs before we sent to mix. Yeah. And we weren't sure about Mkokotelo, because it was always that thing where we're trying to move from that thing of people thinking we make this type of music or whatnot. But I made my brother listen to it. My brother, like, every day for a straight week, he was like, yo, that song. He was like, yo, that song. And I was like, damn, aware. Aware. Maybe it is that song. So it's like, that's the dope thing about also being independent, because now you're not in a room with 10 people, and then 9 of them don't like it, and one, now, like, somebody personal as your brother can like it, somebody like your mom can like it, and then they explain it to you, like, why they like it and why it makes sense. Because sometimes as an artist, you, like, every song you make, you don't think is the best one.
Yeah.
You have to get, like, somebody who's on the outside and somebody who's gonna experience it at a different level to be like, yo, this is the song. And then since you're independent, I just need to ask Jakin. I'm like, Jakin, let's do this, dog.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
That's really dope. That's really dope.
Yeah.
And obviously, with you guys having been independent for so long, what are some of the challenges that you guys had, like, where you felt like, fuck, this is fucked up, like, we fucked up right now?
Yeah, man, money runs out, like, and it's usually after we've just, like, finished the project, because we put everything into the project. We put because we have to shoot videos. We also fund our own tours. We made ourselves tour. Like, we'll book events and then get paid for those events, and then we'll literally take that money and we'll travel with it, to go to those different shows, just so that we can be seen, so that the music can go out there.
Yeah.
And eventually that money runs out, man. We're paying for your own accommodation sometimes. Sometimes they'll cover your accommodation, but really when you're trying to go to places where they don't know you as well, you got to take yourself there. A lot of people think that sometimes, they see us at a specific show and they're like, how did you even get that booking? We send a lot of emails, man. Like, we send a lot of emails, like, because we want everybody to know about us. We want to perform in East London. We want to perform in remote areas. I actually lived in East London. So the challenges of money, man. Money runs out. And then you struggle to create your true vision, creating like the kind of videos you want to do. there was a time when we were supposed to go overseas to like the UK, and we had a couple gigs booked, but then like even those gigs weren't really gonna cover the full trip that we were gonna do. So we're like, if we had our own money, we could have taken ourselves there, and then by being there, we could get more gigs, because now people are like, they don't have to transport us there, you know, we can make more gigs. But you know, those are lessons you learn, that like, hey man, you know, at least we have those contacts, so if we get a bigger gig where now it covers everything, we can have that gig and also contact those people and say, we're also here now. You know, and then that becomes a tour also, you know. We've had to learn that a lot from, like, I watch a lot of videos about, you know, about this sort of stuff from other independent artists, and even people on labels. They'll say, man, sometimes a label will hold you back and you have to put your own money into it, you know. Sometimes you'll tell a label, I'm trying to put this album out, they hold you back, or you're trying to shoot a video. And certain artists, the biggest hustlers, because we look up to hustlers, they'll say, man, I put my own $100,000 or whatever into that video, you know, because I wasn't going to wait for the label. And it made us learn that even if we are on a label like we are now, like even if we're on a label, we're still going to move like we independent, and we're still going to hustle, because this label wasn't here when we were starting out and we had nothing, you know. And so we're not going to like get jaded by the fact that we have support now. We're still going to push this thing like, you know, this is our lifeblood, you know, this is everything to us.
No,
so,
definitely.
Okay, dope.
Okay, so now I heard the single Riders on the Storm, but like that was not the first single actually. That was Sasa, right?
Sasa was the first one.
And Riders on the Storm, the sound is mad different. It's mad different, because when I heard, especially Riders on the Storm, like it came and then I'm like listening to it, right? And then it's sort of like very tribal music, you know. It's not the fast-paced Kwaito vibe that I know you guys like usually hop on. So how is this new project different from like Stiff Pap Radio? What was the process making it? What was the direction that you guys were taking?
Well, for starters, we started making this project when we moved to Joburg, and we were living together when we moved to Joburg, and that was the first time we had really lived together, and we were making music every day. I think I saw an interview by Frank Ocean where he was saying like, I want to make as much music as possible whilst I'm in my prime, you know. And then I took that and I was like, yo, I feel like I'm getting to that stage as a producer where I'm really confident. I want to make as much music as possible. And we have so much time now and we live together that actually we should actually be making as much music as possible. So I said to Ayema, like, let's treat this thing like a 9 to 5, like a job. We wake up early, at 9 a.m. we get in the studio, we make as much music as possible every single day. Weekends we can chill, like a job. Let's treat it like a job. And that's when we started making music every day, 2 songs a day, like on average, sometimes 3. And we made a lot of songs. And then that's when we started experimenting with a whole bunch of different sounds. We just wanted to make as much as possible, you know. A lot of it didn't sound as good, you know. but the point was for us to just make as much as possible. And I think that process really helped us improve, because another thing that I learned about like people like Mozart and stuff like that is that some of the greatest musicians are people who made the most music, because over time, the more music that you make, the better you get at making music. And so maybe not all of those songs will be great, but your great songs will be really great.
Really great. And we had like, on this one, I think it was coming from like Stiff Pap Radio, which was, I feel for me, was more Kwaito influence, more dance, like music influence. And we were trying to get out of that. Because also we were trying to get out of based on a ghost story, our first like project, which was like a Gom influenced, mainly, you know, Gom and house influenced here and there. But we're trying to get out of that stereotype, because with every project we want it to be like different, to be different from the other, you know. So when people want like Gom Stiff Pap or go based on, if you want Kwaito Stiff Pap Radio, if you want like for this one, I feel like it's more African punk music or because the energy is more like anti-establishment. It's more like, yo, the government is treating us wrong. Yeah. Like, it's right in your face. It's right in your face type music. So, so with that, I feel like it's influenced more by the punk energy, be it even like folk music and tribal like music, like umpaqanga no maskandi is very, for me, I feel like anti-establishment, because it's a very underground sound. You need to be in the know to know it, you know. Yeah. But since we are here in Joburg, it's everyday music, you know, but it's very anti-establishment music, very like not in mainstream type music. So yeah, that was the influence. Punk music, as Jakina said, some rock music, some just like some very different types of music from Ikom and from Ikwaito. We're just trying to extend our universe, basically. We are trying to extend our universe and experimenting with different sounds and with sounds that people don't box us in or don't see us in, so they can actually see us in those boxes and see also the growth in what we're trying to make and what we trying to do.
So I know you guys like basically have how can I say this, like distinctive like visuals and distinctive images, like when it comes to your projects, a person can tell like, okay, cool, this was Stiff Pap radio, this was whenever like you guys are putting out projects, there's always like an era that we can reference to. So I know this, like for this new project you have a film, an accompanying film. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so basically the film is basically about the stories that we tell on Tuff Times, the musical project. So they basically go together, like the music, the project and the film, as like an audiovisual sort of project. And it's basically about our experiences moving to Joburg, the real hard times and like the rough sort of experiences that we've had in the city, all the kinds of people that we've met that have disappointed us, that have hurt us, the rough experiences of just living in the CBD and being outsiders and kind of seeing how people treat us and seeing how like, we all here to hustle, but like, there's not everybody comes with genuine intentions, with pure intentions. Some people are there to use you, some people are there because they genuinely care about you, and basically it's us telling our stories of like our experiences as young people, like living in the city, trying to make something of ourselves, and how we kind of see this environment, how we see Joburg, and how we want the world to see Joburg, because we wanted to really disrupt this perception that people have that it's this sort of like Rainbow Nation kind of environment in South Africa, from a global point of view when they're looking into South Africa. We wanted to like really show people that South Africa is more than just happy music or dance music. There's also people making really like different and punk sort of sounds, and we really wanted to show people that there's so much more than what they know, and we wanted to disrupt people's perceptions of the city and really embody the sort of rough feeling and like kind of loneliness and almost scariness of the city, like through the music.
And that's basically carried on to the audiovisual side. I mean, the visual side of it, the film that we're trying to like that we have already made. Wow, English ran out of the room. The film, like Tuff Times Never Last. The film, it's basically like in and around what we're trying to say, what we're trying to like do in terms of tough times.
We're basically just trying to tell the stories of not telling other people's stories, we're telling our own stories, but like we basically want to be a voice for youth, for black youth in South Africa, because we feel like we have been done wrong, as youth in South Africa, and
bigly.
This is us kind of fighting back through the music, through the art, And you'll see it in both the music and in the film, you know. This is us kind of like starting our own revolution to say, like, we're not going to stand for this anymore. We're going to be in your face, like, you know, we're not kids anymore, you know, we're grown now. Like, we're not going to listen to the lies you told us, you know, about a new South Africa. You know, we're not listening to those lies. We've grown, we've seen that the jobs aren't there, you know, the opportunities aren't there. You know, we're old enough to feel that we have bills to pay, you know, we adults now, and like, this is for us to kind of stand, like, take a stand and really say how we feel as youth in Johannesburg, and kind of like what it's like, you know, to be in a young person, a young black person living in South Africa in 2021, you know, and just represent that energy that we're not happy no more, you know. It's not Kokotelo no more. You know, it's not Kokotelo no more.
And I guess also, like, having, you know, experienced, you know, the whole, you know, how South Africa, there's this blind curtain of, they say, oh no, you know, we're in this together, you know, born freeze, or revolution, kumbaya, we're all, but in reality is like the people are basically the ones that are getting like screwed up, you know. So I guess it's important, like, for you guys as artists, you know, to tell and basically, you know, reflect what actually is happening, which is tough times. You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
Yeah, it's one of those also, if you are an artist, you want to create a conversation, because that's the basis of arts. Whatever art, whichever medium you do art in, the first thing that you want to do is create a conversation. And we do want to create a conversation because we do feel like people want to speak about certain things, especially the youth. When it comes to like unemployment, it's crazy. You know, when it comes to the lack of opportunities, it's like, it's incredible. And so like, if we, as the youth, you know, as the youth, you know, want to say something, I think that's a standpoint, you know, that we want to take to say, yo, government, you know, you need to make our lives better. The promises that you made to our fathers when apartheid ended, they need to be fulfilled. You can't tell us one thing and now 25 years later, 26 years later, still nothing. Because it creates people like, you know, like us, disgruntled, frustrated, and very angry, you know, so
Guys, thank you very much for being at AFROPUNK Soundcheck, the first one for 2021. Really honored to have you guys here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
really
you.
Excited about the project, and I can't wait to see what you guys got next.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us. Shout out to AFROPUNK. Tough times coming soon.
Tough times never last, only tough people do.
You know the vibes.
Word, guys.